Hey guys, so today is going to be my very first podcast with Andrew D. Undergrad. He's my twin brother. He also has a YouTube channel here. In this video, we talk about faith, political beliefs, fitness goals, business goals, and a lot of different facets about that and a lot of the books we read and whatnot. So I hope you guys like this podcast. At the end, if you guys have any sort of comments or ways we can do it better, I'm also looking forward. I think we're going to start doing a lot more of these types of videos. So if you like them, let us know. And it's 45 minutes of very insightful practices and principles from a unique perspective. I think a lot of the big YouTubers that talk about what we talk about in this video are in their late 20s or early 30s. Me and Andrew were 19 years old. So we bring a very probably relatable perspective to a lot of young people out there. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Enjoy the podcast, 45 minutes of gold. Enjoy it. So, Andrew, first ever podcast. How's it going?
Good. Excited. Glad to be here. Fun. Glad we finally were able to set this up. Had some free time that we could share. Happy Easter as well.
Oh yeah, it is Easter Sunday. Happy Easter. I think we should give the viewers a little bit of backstory, this being the first podcast and all. So, where do you go to school at, and what do you do?
Well, currently go to McAllister. Some things I do there, mainly interests of mine. So I'm part of an investment club. Also play soccer, do some pre-med stuff around campus.
Podcasts or conversations. So don't look at the camera, look at me.
Yeah. And then I try to get out of it with you, try to do some fun things, try to hang out with people, talk with people. Work out a lot, of course. And I know we're both very big into self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What's some big things for you around campus?
Yeah, so probably the biggest thing for me around campus is playing on the varsity men's soccer team, but right now I actually have a broken foot, which really sucks.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in the month of January, I got a little stress fracture in my foot, and thought I was going to played on it for 3-4 weeks. Thought it was all good, and then playing futsal, indoor soccer in the morning, turned really hard and broke it further.
And how has that been for you, like personally? Like how have you dealt with that?
Well, I've done upper body workouts every day, so I've been woken up a little bit.
Your mental health is at an all-time high. Just like your chest.
My mental health and my muscles are at an all-time high. But like being a big runner beforehand, it's actually kind of taken a toll, like motivation-wise and mentally, just not being able to run and do legs at all.
Yeah,
those are definitely my favorite.
You've seen me in the gym a few times running, and you've said, "Man, I can't wait to get back."
Yeah. First time I get back to running, which I spoke to the doctor on Thursday, and they said it'd be 3 to 4 weeks. First time I get back to running, I'll probably be screaming around like a little child.
Yeah, well, maybe we could organize something for your first run back. Do a 100-pound ruck to University of Minnesota.
100 pounds is crazy.
I don't even know if I could fit that much on my back.
100, yeah, that's
like what would I do? Just textbooks,
bro. So the guy who I told you I've been talking about from Adonis Gang, bro. He said yesterday he bought 100 pounds of meat, and the first thing that came up into my mind was bench pressing 100 pounds, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of meat, bro. That is a lot of meat.
Yeah, bro. You think 100 pounds? It doesn't feel like that much, but that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, I know.
Think about it, he had to carry that from his car to a fridge.
100 pounds.
This guy's 18.
No, I think he's 19.
Okay.
But yeah, me and him are actually starting some sort of 30-day dopamine detox monk mode challenge thing.
Cool. How'd you meet this guy?
So me and him, we're both in a community called the Adonis Gang, which you're in too. It's from Hamza Ahmed. Really good community of a lot of young masculine guys who are all about self-improvement, personal fitness, business, whatnot. And I basically started reaching out to all the guys that had in their little bio from Minnesota, just to see if I could meet some guys around here, because our school has a lot of dissimilar people.
A lot of androgynous people.
We'll leave it at that. A lot of dissimilar people. So I wanted to meet a lot of young
So
people
you
like me.
You reached out to people in the group. How did you see that they were from Minnesota? Because I've gone on there and I've had some problems navigating the website, so it's not really appealing to
Yeah,
me.
so when you go to the search function, you can just search in Minnesota, and then it'll actually pull up people whose profile says from Minnesota.
Oh, that's cool.
And I reached out to probably 15 guys. Probably 3 of them got back to me. But I've been talking with Isaac, and we both started YouTube channels around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And we both started the dopamine detox thing today. And that's going to be no porn, no phone entertainment besides texting people to organize IRL events and do those relationships. Because I'm starting to see monk mode isn't all that great.
Like the traditional monk mode?
Yeah, just like holding yourself up in a room for 30 days, working out, literally no contact with people. I'm starting to see like that's not the greatest thing in my opinion.
Yeah, we're social creatures for sure, and I think that's one thing that Hamza talks about, and a lot of other people too now are starting to talk about it. But it's just staying social. It's like going out, talking to people, holding eye contact with girls, talking to guys, just meeting new people, finding people like you, so you can have people in your journey. I think that's what you and Isaac are doing really well. It sounds like it's like having 2 people to hold yourself accountable. Because I know me and you, we do that all the time, even maybe to a fault at times when we hold each other to too high of standards.
Yeah.
But like, in the end, it produces a better person.
Yeah. It's been nice meeting people in there. Really good community of guys. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, be on the lookout. I'm gonna be posting shorts every day of this little challenge, as well as a long form video at the end.
Do you want to talk about it, or you don't want to
days.
You don't want to give it out too much what you're doing?
Just be on the lookout for those videos.
Very cool. So I guess we could talk about self-improvement, maybe, since we could start off with like personal stories and then get into more social things.
Yeah. Any questions for me about that?
Maybe who are the people that have like most influenced your opinion or your thoughts on exercise, on self-improvement? I'm thinking mainly like exercise, pushing yourself hard, working hard, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think for me a big factor in that has been going to, actually through soccer, playing at the Barcelona Residency Academy in Arizona. It was such a competitive environment. If you didn't push yourself, you wouldn't play, you wouldn't get opportunities. So really pushing myself there, kind of just being an athlete in general in that competitive environment made me a competitor. And now that I'm a little bit beyond my soccer career, having broken my foot, not playing soccer probably for the rest of this first year of college, and then transferring probably beyond soccer, it's really set me up great for the rest of my life in that regard.
Yeah, I felt the same thing coming from Barca, and then when I had to switch from not playing varsity, not playing as high level, I had to see it more as like a pastime that I did for fun. But I feel like that was the only way I got through it, was because I couldn't take it seriously, because the guys I'm playing with now, of course, aren't very competitive. They're just out there to have fun, play around, get a ton of megs, get a ton of shots, not really improve, but just have fun. And I think as I've switched into that mode, I've been able to like maintain my ability and like get a little bit better, but I'm mainly just having a ton of fun, and it's a great thing to do when I'm not studying.
So how do you think going from a competitive environment to a less competitive environment has shaped your personal drive?
I think my drive has stayed the same, but I think switching my mindset out of pushing in soccer to pushing in other areas of my life has allowed me to focus more. So like now I can spend more of my willpower and like focus and attention on my studies or like exercise. So I can push really hard on runs, push really hard in the gym, at my desk when I'm studying. I think it's allowed me to focus on those things and really push myself in those ways, because of course willpower, I feel, is very transferable between different areas as a skill, and it can be grown like a muscle, but to really develop it in different areas, you have to get experience. So like, just because you can push on the soccer field doesn't mean you're going to want to push in the classroom. And we saw that at Barca. Like, a lot of guys were so good at soccer, really competitive athletes, but they just didn't really have a drive and ambition outside of sports.
Yeah, luckily they had a lot of good resources there,
Yeah.
us included. We were really good about helping them push themselves in the classroom. So talking about fitness, what are your biggest fitness goals? Maybe for the next, we'll start biggest fitness goals for the next 3 months, and then biggest fitness goals for the next year.
Well, I'll start for the next few months. I haven't thought about them too much, other than just like making little improvements every day. I think some realistic ones could be curling 40s real soon. Currently on 35s, but I've started getting able to where I can do 3 sets pretty easily. Or well, not easily, but I can get through them, right? I can survive.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one goal of mine. Probably wouldn't be able to do it in the next few months. Would be curling 50s.
Ooh,
but I think I could do that. I
that's
think I could do that in a year, and I think it would also boost my ego a lot.
think about the ability to be able to curl 45s, curling a plate.
And people see that. People see me in the gym curling that heavy weight.
Yeah.
That'd be wild.
Any like body weight goals or fitness goal or running goals?
So body weight. I'm currently on a bulk. Not going too well. I've upped my calories, but I think my metabolism has also increased.
It seems like talking with you the past few days, you've upped your running, which sounds counterintuitive to a bulk.
I've played soccer. I'm not going to quit those things because I don't want to bulk so badly that I want to give up my cardiac exercise, my cardio.
You want to lean bulk?
And then, lean bulk. Because in the past, I was just kind of maintaining my weight, lowering my fat composition, upping my muscles, like increasing my muscle gains. But now I think I'm going to focus, I'm still in a lean bulk sort of thing, but I'm focusing a little more on the bulk. So I think that's allowing me to, or I'll say, if I was focusing too much on the bulk, I think that wouldn't be as fun. Because then I think I would have to give those exercises where I'm just going really hard in the gym, burning a lot of calories, or out on the soccer pitch having a nice time, meeting some people, getting to know people who play soccer on campus a little better, and then of course playing the game that I love. I don't want to give that up just to like gain a few pounds of muscle.
So do you have a weight goal in mind?
Weight goal in mind? I would say 200, but I feel like that's a little out of my genetic range, I'll say.
Really? I'm at like 196, and I think
you are, but like
soon.
I'm at 180, bro. Like 182. Despite upping my calories, I've lost weight over the last week.
Do you think your diet when you were young had an effect?
I was a little picky.
Give them a little backstory on how you think that might have affected you.
I think the biggest reason that you're ahead of me in terms of like weight and muscle is because when I was young for years, I just hardly ate any protein. I feel like outside of, I didn't even eat chicken for a while. I was mainly eating like mac and cheese, fries, just a lot of carbs, and like, so I was able to be a really good runner because I'd get those calories and have that energy. But in the weight room, you really need protein to make gains, because I was essentially like getting the protein intake of a vegan probably.
So what lessons do you think our viewers could learn from that?
I think it's okay to be picky, but if you're gonna be picky for healthy foods. If you're picky for like ice cream, cake, that's not good. But just make sure you're getting your macros, especially protein. Carbs, I feel like aren't as important. Mainly protein and vegetables.
I think one of the things I've seen is like, even though you may not like the food, the whole idea of delayed gratification is that you have goals in mind now. Where even if you don't like eating something, you know you should eat it. Whereas back then we were both really young and we didn't do delayed gratification.
Yeah.
We just ate whatever we wanted.
We were a little hedonists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that delayed gratification thing is really powerful. Especially I'd always heard like, oh, you'll thank yourself later when you're older and you did all these good things. But I think it was somewhere on Instagram, or it might have even been Hamza or Alex or Mosey, who just said, if your younger self sacrifices for you, you'll thank your younger self. But at the same time, you can't rest on your laurels just yet because you're still young. You're still in your process of sacrificing for your future self. It's like another thing I saw on a YouTube video by some Christian guy was that he said, act like a husband even before you've met your wife. So like, act like a husband even before you've met your wife, so that you mentally are in the right mindset of a husband. And it was basically an idea of delayed gratification, where it was like, remain innocent, sort of. So, like, basically make your first wife feel special.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, set aside, save and invest so you have money when you're older and you can provide for a family. And, of course, us wanting to go into medicine. We should talk about that, too. Us going into medicine, I think... Future podcast where we talk about medicine goals and journey and whatnot. That'd be pretty cool.
Future podcast.
That'd be
watch the next podcast here in a few weeks.
Oh, yeah. But, so we're going to need to, of course, save up. If we want to have families while we're in that education system of
100%.
Undergrad, med school, residency, our wives can't provide for a whole household.
Okay, so to talk about that, one controversial opinion that I have is on dating apps. What is your opinion? So you say if you want a relationship, what are your plans to get there? And how does your opinion on dating apps factor into that?
I think I want to meet people in person. I don't think I want to be the guy who's like, I met my dream girl on a dating app.
Okay, so
even though I know that can work and that can be really good for some people, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, so I have a different opinion. I think, yeah, it's great to meet people in person, but dating apps really they broaden your opportunities. So I'm trying to get Andrew to realize that. But yeah, it's like, are you scared?
No, I feel like I would become too degenerate if I was on a dating app. I feel like I would have, eventually I'd learn self-control, but I feel like at the start I'd be, as Hamza said, chasing a stinky
bro, you gotta get experience.
I see you're on it.
Bro, I've been on Hinge for at least 2 months now, and look at me. Look how great I still am.
Have you gone on a single date?
We're working our way there, bro. I had one.
Working your way there.
I had one. So values.
But the whole point is experiences, not?
Yeah, which is why I'm still on Hinge.
Have you got an experience?
Look, bro, this is not a comparison of date count here.
Okay, fine. So
I think it just broadens your opportunities.
Yeah, I think meeting in person is a better way to go about it, especially having the mindset of trying to meet people in person, because I feel like it develops your social face-to-face skills.
Like you're doing right now, looking me in my eyes.
Yeah. Fine, we can do that as an exercise. I feel like it develops your face-to-face talking skills.
Look at me in my eyes. Take your hand like this.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. Not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Not doing
that.
I'm not doing that.
You have tissues.
I want to meet my girl in person.
I need tissues. Yeah, but just where do you have any tissues?
Yeah.
Where?
I have toilet paper. 6 stacks. No, don't use that, bro. I don't have much of that. I have a lot of those. Back from the intermission.
Yeah. Whew.
So yes, I feel like wanting to do that'll push me to be more social in person, and I feel like that'll give me more experience in the skill of socializing and networking rather than getting the skill of how to text a girl. Yeah, that's mainly what you're getting on dating apps if you haven't dated any girls yet, I feel like, is that you're mainly getting skills on texting them. But of course, maybe once you start going on dates, then you'll start gaining those in-person skills.
And that's the thing. I've really switched from wanting to text to just like meeting them in person, because I find
to meet them soon.
The more I meet them through texting, the less I want to.
Right. That's what I've thought about, is like, that's another thing that's pushed me to be more social, is like I want to learn about people so I can find who's compatible with me, like as a friend or as a romantic partner. Sucking your gut king. It's gonna be so weird. People are gonna watch this and they're just gonna, every now and then we're just gonna go silent and then just.
So what's your recent fascination with making money?
Recent fascination with making money. I think I just want to have an outlet for my entrepreneurial desire right now, because obviously I want to go into medicine, more than business. We'll get into that more on the next podcast. But I kind of want to do business, but it's not really in line with my goals, so I can't go too serious into it right now. So I think having that semi-constant income is what's scratching that itch. But like what I do for WAC, dog walking, I plan on making a video at some point, maybe, about warm outreach and my experience with WAG.
You could do like one of those tri-image thumbnails, you holding leashes and walking dogs.
Maybe.
Put you versus you.
You versus But yeah, I think like that's given me a bit of practice with stuff I've learned from Alex Hormozzi's book, $100 Million Leads, just with warm outreach and stuff, because the people who I walk, they're dogs. Obviously, that's like cold outreach. I request to walk a dog and they approve me. They don't really know me. So it's like based on a really good feeling of trust. And so if I can meet that trust and go above expectations, then I think that'll give me really good practice in just exceeding expectations, and then thinking more long term with it, because after I walk people's dogs, I wait a bit, and then I'll reach out and be like, hey, do you want to set up like something more consistent? Because I think it would, and then I mentioned like some things that I think it would benefit them, some things it would do for my life. Like it would give me a more concrete schedule with this thing, because obviously right now I don't have any like weekly things, but I think setting them up would let me be more consistent in my schedule, and so I know more what I'm doing and I can plan around that, rather than it just be whatever I get or whatever pops up on my notifications and whatever I request and get. But yeah, the fascination with money, I want to have like that steady income, the feeling of steady income, and I want to invest it all, just like have that small itch scratched of like having income, putting it into an account every month or so, and seeing it grow.
And compound interest is really, really important.
Yeah.
It's something like if you start when you're 20, if you just put in $100 a month into like an S&P when you're 20 versus 30, you have like 3 times the amount of money when you're 65.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like a 7% over a 0% for 10 years is several times your money in a couple decades.
Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand. Like, yeah, you could invest your money and you do have the risk to lose it, but if you're doing it in like broad market index funds versus like you're almost guaranteed to make money. It averages like a 7-8% return over year. But if you just hold, what a lot of people don't realize is that if you just hold money, yeah, you might not be physically losing any, but you're losing money to inflation. Especially with
like
COVID,
holding it in a bank.
Yeah, in a bank, or even just like holding on to cash. Like you are losing money.
Like if you're holding it into an account over like that 7% figure you mentioned, that includes all of the like down years as well. Even considering all the recessions, depressions, the market has still made a 7% average every single year.
Yeah.
And you don't get that from a bank. Even like all these accounts that were made during COVID of like, oh, we have 4%, 5% APY variable. It's like, it's probably not sustainable for a bank.
What's your hierarchy of investing? Like maybe
like the sector.
What percent do you put in like a high yield savings account? What percent do you invest in yourself? What percent do you invest in stock market?
Right now, so I look at my 2 assets as money and time. And right now I'm more focused on what I do with my time because I don't have a lot of money. I think once I become a doctor and start having more revenue, I'll think more about how to spend money because a lot of my time will be in the OR. But right now, I'm mainly thinking about how to spend my time to invest in myself. So like with WAG, I'm investing a little bit amount of time, but getting a lot of practice in business skills, I feel like. And then in investment too.
And fitness as well. Because you run into these things.
Yeah, I try to walk dogs that are in running distance so that I can just get a bit of exercise in as well. That's definitely another thing keeping me from gaining weight on this bulk.
Making money is making money.
Making money is
making money in my business is keeping me from.
It's
bulking.
keeping me lean. And I can also say it like that. I can say like business is stopping my gains, or I could
business is getting in the way of being fatter.
of gaining weight. Or I could go the other way and say business is making me lean.
Business is keeping me.
That's
fit.
a really good video.
That
I was
is a good video.
I was thinking about making a video,
sure.
dude. I gotta write that down.
It's a good,
Just
not clickbait, but kind of clickbait. Business is keeping me lean. Yeah. So what I'm doing right now is I tried doing WAG.
Okay.
But I'm still on like some dumb wait list to try to.
When was the last time you checked that?
I was actually gonna call them this next week about that, but that was about 3 weeks ago, and the wait list was like a 30-day wait list. But I'm also doing like a cold outreach appointment setting thing through LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. How's that?
It's been okay. I get paid base rate and commission, which I think is really good. It's like getting sales experience, cold outreach experience, which is really crucial. I mean, even in pre-med, being able to like cold outreach email physicians task for shadowing experience or like a job position, like the only reason we got our research position for this summer was really
warm outreach,
but
yeah,
being able to talk to people
is really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think when most people refer to sales, they think about cold outreach, because when they say like, oh, sales gives you the benefits of like rejection and dealing with it and like planning things, it's like I feel like they're mostly talking about cold outreach, finding those leads, working those leads yourself, and how to navigate the fact that they have no reason to listen to you, they don't know you, and so why should they even respond? And I think maybe we could start a partnership one day, like with WAG. I get really good at warm outreach, you get really good at cold outreach, you start a little marketing firm, you know.
So a little WAG summit LLC or something.
You can have a few levels to it too, you know.
Yeah.
Multi-level, we could call it.
I can start getting all my Hinge girlfriends and ask them if they have dogs.
Well, we don't want to get.
I don't have multiple girlfriends.
Arrested for human
trafficking. I don't have
multiple
girls. Oh, what?
That's what I've heard a lot of people.
We're not human trafficking, bro.
No, well, anyone who has. I heard Hamza joke about this. Hamza was like, yeah, I had this girlfriend and she really loved me. She just offered to basically run my business, and then and I think that's what Andrew Tate is having too, where he's like. It's human trafficking claims because people say he's had girls work for him that loved him, and so they say it's like manipulation and stuff like that.
Bro.
Which, I don't know, that's a hot topic.
Yeah, we should probably limit how much we talk about Andrew Tate, but
yeah.
Just
say Andrew.
Yeah.
I think the last name is what triggers people.
Tate Dog.
T-Dog. Don't say.
We're on a last name basis. Me and T-Dog.
Me and T-Dog.
Me and T-Dog. Yeah.
I saw this stupid video of him and his brother dancing in front of Lamborghinis with
them dancing.
Just like, it's like them like stupid dances. Yeah, it's literally like, they're doing like stupid old man dances, like just like I'll show you. Just over here like this is in a circle. It was so stupid.
Oh my gosh. What have been some of the best books you've read lately? Obviously the Bible.
The people in the camera can't see this, but I got all the books I've read up there.
You've read all those?
The ones up top. Yeah, I think Millionaire Next Door.
The ones up top.
Richest Man in Babylon. All those books I've learned a lot from, I feel like. Or have influenced my behavior in some way or another. Maybe I couldn't really say specific lessons I've learned from all of them, except for a few of them. But they've all influenced my behavior and thought in some way. And of course, the Bible. Where's my Bible at?
Oh, I have it.
Oh, okay. I've learned a lot from that. I've written a lot down from that. What about you? What are some of the best books that you've read or you're currently reading?
Yeah, so right now the 3 books I'm reading are Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and Bible et al.
Bible et al. No. It's just God, infinity.
God, et al.
That's the in-text citation.
Yeah, Jesus plus 40 other authors. Yeah. Been really good. I've been reading that every day. At least a chapter every day for the past, since last July, actually.
Wow.
So probably like...
How far are you along in it?
I am at 1 Kings chapter 23. I'm about 300 pages in.
Very cool. I'm probably about 150, 200 in, maybe. Yeah, I think we should talk about some lessons we've learned from books, and then we could talk about Christianity a bit, if you're down for that.
Yeah, so Can't Hurt Me. I'm not that far into it. I'm like
Or what's your favorite book? Like the one you've learned the most from that, you'd say?
Shoot. I really enjoyed Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I really enjoyed that book. It's all about, so basically Marcus Aurelius was one of the Roman emperors, part of like the good 5 Roman emperors. He was the last of them. And he basically had everything the world had to offer, and even so he still chose to practice Stoicism, which for those of you that don't know what Stoicism is exactly, you basically void any emotional attachment to things in this world. Like you don't need them to be happy, and it's very philosophical.
Yeah, I think that's a really
even I wouldn't say I know everything about Stoicism.
I think that's a really interesting dynamic, is how the people who have it all say that it's not really worth it to get. Like even Solomon from the Bible, he like said God's really the only thing that matters. Like all the money and women, they don't matter as much, and like all these earthly things, they fade away, and all the people who have a lot for a long time realize that.
Yeah, Stoicism is very biblical in that way. One of the things Marcus Aurelius talks about a lot.
Well, he's a Roman emperor, and Christianity was big back in Rome.
Wait, I think he was Christian potentially.
No, he never talks about.
But he definitely studied those texts, I think.
Oh, he talks about Roman gods, so there's no.
Oh yeah, but yeah, Stoicism does relate a lot to Christianity. One of the big lessons he talks about in there is that it's about death, which is a little bit morbid. But if death comes to all, why should you be scared of it or
it's not evil.
Yeah, it's like God has a plan for everyone. So if you are going to die, 1, it's in God's plan, but 2, your life was lived, and hopefully you lived a life you can be proud of. So you shouldn't really fear death.
Yeah, one of the biggest arguments that he posed that I remember is like it applies to death, but it also applies to so many other things too, where he was like, why should you consider something evil that happens evenly to everyone? So like luck, fate, death, why should you consider it evil? It happens to everyone. Maybe not equally, like maybe some people are like disadvantaged, but like a lot of things that people say are bad could happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And so it's like those things like death. It's like everybody's gonna die. It's just gonna happen. So we just have to accept it.
Yeah.
Move on. Try to live the best life we can. Try to have the best generational effect that we can. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of bad things happen to people in this world, but what a lot of people forget is that almost everything that does happen is in God's plan.
Yeah.
So it may be you've experienced a death in the family, maybe financial hardships, but people take that as an opportunity to like complain to God and make it like, oh, why is God doing this to me?
Or they say, how can God exist if I have all these troubles?
Yeah.
And that's a pit that a lot of people fall in.
Yeah, going through the Bible, the Israelites, which are God's chosen people, they fell out of favor with God and they would go through a lot of cycles through like 400 years since leaving Egypt to come to the Promised Land. They went through probably 500 years past Moses or something by now in the Bible in 1 Kings, but so many they would go through. It's very cyclical in that God would show a sign, do a miracle. They would follow God for years. They'd have a good king, and then they'd have like a bad king or a bad couple of kings who lead Israel away from God.
Yeah, it seems like Israel in general, throughout the Bible and then even today, it's very cyclical, whether it's like the people are really for God or really for another religion or like Satan worship, stuff like that. And then God eventually, like that's one thing I've learned in the New Testament is that I think I've told you about this, is that when God's people don't worship him, he'll go to the Gentiles. He'll send prophets and messengers and gifts to the people who are worshiping him. And even though those are Gentiles, the Israelites or the Jews will see that and then turn back to God and say, well, God, they'll see that God's blessing all these other people. And they'll be like, we want a part of that. So they'll turn back to God. And I think that's a really powerful way to like, knowing that as a Gentile, a non-Jew, I know that God's using me in part maybe to show them, his people, that I'm having a really good life despite not being like a Jew and like following like Moses's laws or whatever they place a lot of importance on. I forgot the name of it. I know the 12 commandments, those apply to every Christian. 10 commandments. Yeah. I don't know why I'm remembering 12 from. Oh,
12 is a big number.
12 is a big number.
12, 40, 3, 7.
I wonder why he put out 10 commandments if it's 12 and 7 are the big things.
Yeah. And 10's a pretty big number.
Yeah.
Something I was thinking about when you were talking is that America was founded upon Christianity. Like
right.
I think, I forget if it says this on the quarters, but I'm pretty sure it does. It says on almost every bill and quarter says, "In God we trust."
Yeah, and
like
some people, I think we're trying to get rid of that at some point, but it's staying.
Well, talking about all the cycles of believing in God and then people being like devil worshippers, basically, is America was founded on "In God we trust."
Yeah, I want to say Christian ideas seep into every aspect of our lives. Even people don't want to admit it.
The U.S. was very like Christian oriented. They would teach the Bible in schools all the time, and we were founded upon God. But nowadays, people have already gotten rid of teaching Bible in schools. You can't do that in public schools nowadays.
Right, separation of church and state. That was a big move. That was a big move in the U.S.
Yeah, and
a lot of people didn't agree with that.
I mean, I can't really see how people can see Christianity as bad, because what a lot of people complain about is that they complain Christians are hypocrites. Well, no, let me talk.
Yeah.
They complain about Christianity being hypocritical because a lot of people still sin. But that's not the point of Christianity. The point of Christianity is to like go out and make disciples and then try to make yourself better every day.
Yeah, I think self-improvement is really an analogy for it.
Yep, you can't...
Getting a little better.
You can't be perfect.
No.
Nor will you ever be. I mean, Jesus was the only perfect person to walk the earth. So why does anyone else think anyone should be able to do that?
Right. Yeah, it even acknowledges that in the Bible, and I've seen this in a lot of different prominent people online, where they say, when people look at Christianity, they only see the bad apples. They only see the people who misrepresent it as a case to justify why they're not Christian or why they view it as lesser.
Yep.
And we talked about that in my video a little bit yesterday, where it's like, don't put a stumbling block in other people's way. I should act as holy as possible, hold myself to as high standards as possible, so I can make people see me as a Christian and think, I want a part of that. Yeah. I want a part of God's kingdom.
Yeah. And there's a really big problem. I mean, this whole DEI movement and LGBTQ, it's like, it's so crazy because they constantly shove down your throat. They preach, you could say, diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI. But the moment you mention God or Christianity or your Bible, then you shouldn't be included. Like the fact that we're both conservative Christian white males. I mean, people love throwing around words like privilege.
We are the definition of privilege in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah. Even
though we've also got a lot of the ways that they would see that we're oppressed.
It's like, I mean, it really is so big nowadays, especially in our university, is that there are so many people that are liberal and LGBTQ and whatnot, that we are the minority here. I can't say I for sure know any other conservative Christian.
I've seen one guy reading the Bible in public on campus. Other than us.
Do you know who?
I don't know. It was the same guy that was holding that cross that was walking through campus the other day.
Oh yeah.
I saw him reading the Bible in Cafe Mac one time.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
Should have said so.
We're going to an Easter dinner today that our college is holding, but
it's gonna be pretty fun.
I mean, even most of the Christian
they're liberal Christians.
Here, they're like liberal Christians, so they don't. I wouldn't say they really.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things about like political alignment, I would say both parties want to help people. What I say to Angela all the time is like, liberal and conservative, the difference is that liberals are very idealistic, where a lot of their ideals would only really work in a vacuum. Like socialism.
Everyone was doing it.
Something me and Andrew talked a lot about is like socialism. That wouldn't work because take Jeff Bezos, put him in socialism, he's still going to figure out a way to be on top. Right? As it is now, it's like big business over small business. and government mediates everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas under a socialist economy, yes, everyone gets the same pay, but then what's to stop everyone from just working less? And then the U.S. won't actually benefit at all from that. It's like taxing the rich. If you heavily tax the rich and give to the poor, the rich are just going to leave.
Right. I think there's two outcomes from like a socialist or Marxist society. Either you stifle all competition, all innovation, all creative people. Anyone with gifts, they're just going to be average. Or it ends up shifting back to a capitalist society where everyone benefits unevenly based on their gifts. And like you said, Jeff Bezos, if you put him in a society, in a socialist society, all he's going to do is rise to the top.
Yeah, and it's like they say that everyone in a socialist society would be equal, but even under that society, whoever pays everyone, with being the government, they are above the people.
Right. There is inequality, even though it's shared by a very small minority.
Though that's basically the root of Christianity. It's that God oversees everyone, controls everything, and He teaches you to be humble. Even God, I'll do it here in a second. Even God washed people's feet, and He was the most powerful person alive. He could do anything.
He was limitless, yet He washed the feet of sinners and ate with tax collectors, Pharisees.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll pick that up.
Really serves as an example for us. We gotta, we don't sit, but we gotta be careful when we say something like that. Like we should be with sinners in order to try to change them, but at the same time, don't let them change you.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what Paul says in Acts, Romans, the Corinthians, is that we should try to be pleasing in the eyes of man and God, but never try to please man over God. Like try to be popular, whatnot, but don't chase that over God. Don't chase anything over
God. What I tell a lot of people all the time is that liberals meet me and they have like their assumptions and their predispositions. But
we should talk
so
about
so for me, I want to learn as much as I can. So like I probably know more about liberals than liberals really know about conservatives, and I like taking the best parts. Like I know people from Ghana, South Africa. I know people from Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean. I know people from South America, Europe, Asia, North America. I know people from all over, and I know a ton of different people practicing a ton of different religions.
You get a ton of different perspectives.
Yeah, and I love taking the best parts and putting them in my arsenal.
Right, like in a lot of these books are not Christian books. Like they might have been written by Christian people, but the ideas in them sometimes may not be Christian or may not be biblical. But you can take the best parts of that coincide with your faith and become the best person you can.
Well, and even if they don't coincide with your faith, you can apply them in a way that does. It's like something that I heard.
Right. You can iterate them too.
Something that Alex Hormozy says is like give away the secrets and sell the implementation. It's like if you're a big Christian, you don't. I mean, that kind of applies, but you decide how you implement it. Like, if it's an ungodly practice,
you can implement it in an ungodly way, be sinful, or you can take
the principles behind it, but apply it in a Christian way.
One thing I want to say about what you just talked about with knowing people from all over, I think, in a way, we're more open-minded than a lot of people. Like, even though people say they're very accepting and stuff, they're not. They're very accepting of different aspects of people. They're not very accepting of different opinions and perspectives. Whereas we're very accepting of hearing and trying to understand people. But we know what that entails and what that leads to with certain people. And so we want to try to like lead people back to a godly path.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great place to end this podcast. Yeah. I'm a little sick.
What can we expect from you in the near future?
We can expect all those videos, and if you guys want to see more content from us, find it on Pornhub.
Yeah, I'll try to
make sure to like and subscribe and comment. This is the Pornhub thing's a little gift from the end of you guys. I'm like
scan the QR code in the description of the. I'll be making some videos about that soon, guys. Yeah.
Great video, Andrew.
Yeah,
give me some.
Yeah, I'll probably be making some videos.
We can edit explosions into that.
Dude. Yeah. Like put the Mr. Beast intro in there.
Mr. B6000. Whoa, whoa. Thank you guys. Have a great day.